Hey everybody. I was getting ready to weather the Avenger, and I had some friends asking me what I do for weathering. And so I kind of thought I'd just take some time to make a little quick video about it, what I use, how I do it, just like a little quick tips for beginners sort of thing. Um, so at this point, I'm assuming in your build you're ready to paint and weather your aircraft, and you've got it painted. The next step is weathering. The first thing you're going to want to do is use a varnish to clear coat your model and seal the paint in, and keep your beautiful paint job safe from the harsh chemicals and any kind of other paint stripper or something you would have to use. I like to use Ammo MIG varnishes. They tend to work really well. I like using them. I also use a Alclad 2 clear coat, gloss clear coat for clear coating my models. I do that. I don't do that for weathering because they do not go well with the stuff I use to weather my airplanes, but I do use it to apply the decals because I find it's a really great service for applying those, and the Mark Fit Strong does not eat away at that. But if you're going to be clear coating your model, maybe paint up like a wing of a spare model kit or something and just test what chemicals will do what and what can be used on what before you do it. The most basic thing I can think of for starting with your kit that you can use is probably some kind of dry brushing technique. So I like to use these Ammo MIG dry brushing paints because they're designed specifically for dry brushing, so they're a bit thicker in consistency, but I used them on the Avenger and they work really nice and I like them. So you can use normal paints like Tamiya paints. You can use Tamiya paints to dry brush. You can use any paint really. All you really have to do is take your brush, dip it in the paint, and then take a paper towel and just wipe almost all the paint off till it's like barely getting any on there, and then you just brush it over the piece. You can kind of just go over the piece like that and it'll leave paint on there. Next kind of thing I would say that you could use would be pencils. These are AK weathering pencils, but really all they are just very fancy watercolor pencils. So if you're wanting to use the pencils, all you really have to do is go to the store, buy a cheap set of watercolor pencils, and you just get the same thing. These are just a bit softer and they come in a lot more colors. But how you use these is you'll draw on where you want, you'll just kind of sketch it on, and then you'll take a paintbrush damp with water and go over it, and it will kind of blend everything together. And kind of blend it into the color you want or the weathering you want. I guess the next thing I would suggest is getting a panel liner of some kind. I like to use these Tamiya panel liners because they make them in a lot of colors. So these are the 4 colors I have and I try and use. The best thing for doing panel lines on like an aircraft is probably dark brown, because if you're using a black, it's going to be very obvious and very dark, and it's just not a great thing to use on like camouflage airplanes and other things because it will show up very harshly. But a brown is a little more toned down, and it just kind of works better. Another thing I'd suggest using that's kind of okay for beginners, that is pretty easy to learn, is pigments. Learn how to use pigments. They're not the greatest, but they give you a good start and kind of help kick you off on your weathering adventure. So pigments are what they sound like. They're pigment, so kind of like paint pigment but without all the liquid, and so they're very dusty. And what you'll do is you'll put them on the model. You just kind of take your brush, dab it in the pigment, and then kind of place it where you want on the model and work it to where natural dirt and dust and buildup would form, and then you can seal it in with I like to use Testor's enamel thinner. You can also, when you're doing panel liner, remove the panel liner with enamel thinner, and the enamel thinner will not eat away at your clear coat. It's very important and very confusing how all that works, but if you're using certain chemicals, they won't go well with certain paints, and it will eat your paint away. And that's not something that I enjoy having to deal with, and I've done it before and it sucks, and it's just a huge pain in the butt. So try and avoid that to the best of your ability. Now if you're wanting to start getting into some more advanced techniques and just some more advanced stuff, this is chipping fluid. This is Worn Effects chipping fluid. I have this one, and I have heavy chipping fluid, which is just this on steroids. This stuff is great. You spray it out of your airbrush. I guess you could brush it on, I've never really tried. But you spray it out of your airbrush and then spray your acrylic paints over it. It has to be acrylic. Spray your acrylic paints over it, and then when you add water to the paint, like you just brush water over the surface and let it sit for a little bit, you brush it away and it'll start peeling your paint back, and it looks really, really good. That's what I did on my Hellcat. And it's a great little technique. Something else I'd suggest picking up, this is something I saw in a YouTube video and I looked more into it, is this AK landing gear dust effect. This stuff is really cool for making your tire treads look dusty, making your landing gears look dusty. I love using this stuff. It's awesome. But that you just kind of brush on like you would a panel liner and then wipe it away. You can also use the enamel thinner. Anything I'm going to show you, you can use enamel thinner for. This is all stuff that I use, and it's all compatible with the enamel thinner and the Ammo of Mig clear coats, which is why I like it and it works so well. Let's see, what next? Something else you can use is these are, it's kind of hard to tell what's the front. Winter Streaking Grime. These are basically kind of washes and streaking effects. So what you kind of do is you'll let's see, you can brush it on and brush it down, and you'd pull it down, or you'd put some at the top and then take a dry brush and just kind of pull it down, and it would look like streaks of stuff falling or running down the side of your vehicle. That stuff works really well. I like it. It's good stuff to use. Next thing that I've used and like to use is this fuel stains effect, Ammo of Mig fuel stains. It works really, really good for creating like a fuel or grease or oil buildup on your engines. It's awesome. I love using it. Next thing you can use is this AK Snow Texture. This sat in my toolbox for like a year or two unopened, and I opened it and it worked exactly how they said it would. So it has a decent shelf life. I don't know how long it'll last once you've opened it, but I like using it. It's good for snow buildup and other stuff on your tanks, airplanes. I used it on my P-47 in the gear bay and on the landing gear. It says it's for their cars and civil vehicles series, but you can really use it on anything. I guess the last thing I want to talk about before I turn the camera off is oil paints. Oil paints are definitely a more advanced technique, and I still have no idea what I'm doing when I use them. I am not very good at them, and I kind of need a wider selection, but the effect they give you once you've kind of perfected it is an amazing effect. I do like how it looks when it's done properly. Plasmo, if you watch him on YouTube, definitely check him out. He has figured out how to use oils. His stuff looks amazing, but he uses a lot of oils for him. These are, sorry for the glare, these are Abteilung 502 oil paints. These are very nice, but they're kind of pricey, so I don't really know what I'm doing yet, so I don't really like to use these, but I try to because it's good to learn on what you're going to be using. So I've got 6 colors, but I'd like to get some like white, blue, red, green, some odd colors for like oil dot streaking and other effects. But that's about it. That's all I really use. I don't use a ton of stuff on my planes and tanks, but I'd like to get better at that. Most of the shading and stuff just comes from airbrushing. I've learned to get really good at the airbrushing stuff. But yeah, you know, kind of look at this stuff. You can pick it up on Amazon or Hobby Shop or somewhere, I'm assuming somewhere near you. Most places carry some of this stuff. If not, you can go to Mega Hobby's website, order off of there. They sell a lot of stuff and it all comes very quickly. Oh, two things I missed. I don't use, three things actually. I don't use these a lot, but they're kind of important. You can use. First one is a wash. This is a Vallejo wash. This is probably about 6 years old, so I don't know if I'd still use it, but it kind of gives you an idea. A wash is like a panel liner, except you apply it over the entire airplane. You just like slop it on, and then you go back with a dampened cloth and you can wipe it off, and it kind of soaks into all the seam lines, but it also kind of creates like a streaking effect. And it just, yeah, it just kind of creates like a mix between the streaking grime and the panel liner, and it's a cool effect. I like using it, but it's really old and I need new stuff. The next thing is a filter. A filter is kind of like, I don't really know, I can't really describe it to you because I'm not great with it. You can look it up. There's multiple YouTube videos on how to use it, but I have it. I need to learn how to use it, but you can use it. This one's blue, so it would go good on the Avenger. Maybe I'll look up a YouTube video and do that. I'll let you guys know if I do that or not. And then this is a panel liner, but also a wash. It kind of doubles as both. This is a deep gray, so this would be for like all your German tanks, German planes, or anything gray, really. This is like these guys, and it's like the wash I showed you, but it kind of is more specific, and it's ammo MIG, so it's a little nicer than Vallejo, in my opinion. But you guys can kind of use what you want, look the stuff up, and it'll kind of help you improve your models. If you're at different stages right now, you can use more complex effects, or just start with the beginner stuff, try it out for yourself, watch some YouTube videos, and give it your best shot. Let me know if it works for you guys and if this was helpful, and I'll try and do more videos.